Thank you for tuning into the L. Henderson Real News Show, issues, views, and solutions. The L. Henderson Real News Show is designed for you to listen, learn, and invest your knowledge and skills in your community. The show's format will be clear and direct. Each show will identify a problem. It will determine who benefits from the problem. The show will also determine who is the victim. And finally, we will show you how to create a prioritized action plan for success that can change your life, family status, and community in 30, 60, 90 days guaranteed. The L. Henderson Real News Show will identify, address, and teach you how to resolve problems in education, economics, politics, religion, community development, and local, state, national, and international affairs. So I want you to stay tuned for the L. Henderson's Real News Show. Hello, viewers. This is Eldridge Henderson from the L. Henderson Real News Show. Part of being successful is dressing for success. This is why I want to tell you about Pennywise Cleaners, who's been serving the Southwest Jackson community for over 3 years at 4590 Raymond Road in Jackson, Mississippi. Pennywise delivers friendly service with a smile. Whether drop-off, drive-through, or delivery, Pennywise has got you covered. All work is done on-site using state-of-the-art equipment to keep you sharp and clean. A penny saved is a penny earned. At Pennywise Cleaners, located at 4590 Raymond Road, Jackson, Mississippi. For more information, the number is 601-372-0097. Pennywise Cleaners is a proud sponsor of the L. Henderson's Real News Show. Hello, viewers. This is another segment of the L. Henderson Real News Show. We call this part 2 because I have a specialist with me, Chris Winfield. He is a former educator. Of course, he is currently a filmmaker. And at this time, we're going to talk about career education and with the subtitle, A Corrective Action Plan for Lifelong Learning. And Chris, we are going to review some of the best practices in career education so our viewers won't think everyone has to go to a senior college and get 4 years of training to be unemployed. And my thesis is that if you have a career with a certificate, diploma, or a degree in a special area, you can get a job making $10 to $30 or $40 an hour and make more than a school teacher that finished a 4-year program or get a master's degree, as you have done. Now, I'm not saying that you didn't do the right thing, but at least, sir, you were smart enough to get a career and use your skills, and your master's degree, I would think, will enhance your skills to the point that you know the history of filmmaking. You have some examples of some of the best film practices in the world, and at the same time, you know enough about public speaking and presentation where you can go to the colleges and universities and shop your wares and show the folks what you have done and what you can do. So now, we address this right now. We're going to address career education. Now, I know, Chris, that when you came along, a lot of folks like you were told that you need to go and get you a 4-year college degree, work for someone else, and retire. My viewers know that during the old days, 30, 40 years ago, when you retired, they gave you a gold watch. I mentioned this some time ago on a previous show. And a certificate for working 35 or 40 years. But Chris, those days are gone. Very few people now will work at the same job more than 6 years. The surveys show that it's between 3.5 to 4 years, and you move to another job or another location doing the same thing. And most don't retire in the job that they have between ages of 20 and 35. They usually move to other areas or other careers. Now, has that been your experience?
I would say yes. And I mean, I've worked for a lot of companies. before I've had my education, before I had degrees, I've grown up working Walmart, Target, all those things. Got my degrees, worked for some companies down here, some companies in Atlanta. And then the thing that kind of really caught my eye was realizing that a lot of these things that they were doing, I was learning, picking up that I could do myself. So it turned into, for me, working for somebody and finding out how they run their business to me running my own business.
Okay, so now here you are. You are telling our viewers indirectly that it's just not good business to work for someone else for 25 or 30 or 40 years and make them halfway rich. They give you what I call a living wage.
Yes.
Because you know, when you get a BS degree or a master's degree, they pay you the minimum wage plus a quarter or 50 cents.
Right.
You don't make no big money. You don't have enough to raise a family to the point where they can be adequate, get the proper tutoring, get the proper food, get the proper medical care they need.
Exactly.
You're still what we call the working poor.
Right.
And you had enough sense in the early years of your career to see that, and you say, I got to get out of it.
Yeah, and
Do you have any incidents where you know specifically that this is the moment when I decided I'm leaving what we call the corporate world and I'm going to start working for myself? Would you share that with you?
Yes,
with our listeners?
I was working for a previous company down here in Flowood. I think this company, they say they've been running this company for 15 years. When I worked there, I was the first African American at that company, but this company's been around for 15 years. So me being the first African American working at that company, I already knew that there might be some type of some things going on here that might be underlining. So a lot of things came up, and the number one thing that made me say, okay, I have had enough was not, and they weren't, and this is the thing, the people, I'm not saying that nobody shouldn't work a 9 to 5, but at the same time, these people, it was a decent paying job, but one thing that killed it, and that was white privilege. And that was the ability for other coworkers or people to get away with certain things I couldn't. For instance, example, before when I first came there, I was a videographer, filmmaker. The person that was working there before me, who was a white person, videographer, could get away with a lot more things. I was hearing stories of how he was bringing his dog to work and working. I was hearing stories how they had a certain project that he was spending 8 months on this project and wasn't even 30 minutes done in the video. So I come there, she fired him, of course, replaced him with me. I come there, I get the project done, get her more money, bring in more clients, but I'm getting yelled at over simple things like, okay, came back from my lunch break 10 minutes later, than it was. Now, I had already sealed a $150,000 project, meaning that I finished the project. And I would go out and say this project it was for Belhaven. And, I don't know if I can say the name, but it was for them. It was a project, a video. And finished it, got her, she was happy, just joyful. The person before me couldn't even do 20% of the work I was doing. But he could bring his dog to work. He could, when he first was hired, he took 2 weeks off. What black person can get a job and take 2 weeks off when they first get the job?
Well, I know for sure there are not many. So you are saying then, and I see this happening now in politics and in other areas, and I'm just going to tell you, Chris, a lot of people that are saying they were the first this or that, get into the business world or get into what other people call the corporate world, and they think they're going to do like the good old boys, and they are so naive.
Exactly.
And they actually try to do the things they have heard or seen others do, and end up losing the job and going to jail. And they are saying to themselves, I can get away with it.
Right.
So here they are, taking bribes, giving bribes, doing things on the job that they shouldn't be doing, and then thinking they're going to get away with it. And
Right.
when they get caught, they start talking about what somebody did previously. Now, even though, Chris, and you might not want to hear this, if John Doe did something on the job and got away with it, and you knew it was wrong, why would you try to do the same thing knowing the history of racism and white supremacy in the world?
Right.
How do you think you're going to get away with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and you're right. And I don't feel like I was, I wasn't intentionally trying to do exactly what they was. Those were just stories that I was hearing as I was working. But I was never, I think I was one of those naive ones that you were saying, thinking just, okay, I'm the first black guy here. I'm going to be treated as an equal.
Wait a minute, Chris. Now, you must think you live in a democracy somewhere. You must think you live in a state or a nation where they have what we call fair representation. You must think you live in a Christian nation where they believe in fairness and equality. You're not brainwashed, are you, about America?
Nah, I try to be optimistic sometimes. I try to, like you say, have hope and think that maybe that we do live in a country that we can, that is this type of way. But,
Chris, I'm going to tell you now, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to tell you, being a young man, I want you to understand that if you would review the history of America,
yes,
and my viewers and listeners have already heard me say that we are going to hear what I'm getting ready to tell you now in a few minutes. I'm just going to prep you because we're getting ready to go on a break, that there is no such thing as a historical record of fairness and democracy, justice and equality in the history of the world, and specifically not in what they call the United States of America. It has never been, and it never will, because the people that found this country are the same people that are making all the rules and policies today, which is January 2016. Even though the group is getting smaller and smaller every year, in just a few minutes, when we get back up this break, Chris, we're going to discuss how we're going to have to take some career development action strategies, put them together, and start specializing before 4, 6, or 8 years, working, getting loans and grants, trying to go to school to get that big education. We're going to talk about the importance of specializing and becoming a career advocate and do things in 6 months, 1 year, 18 months, or 2 years and get paid for it.
Yeah, sounds good.
And I want you to help us with that because our viewers need to know that we're going to have to reinvent ourselves
Yes.
and do the things that will get us moving in the right direction in 30, 60, or 90 days. You think that can happen, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to see
All
when
right.
we come back. The Action Leadership Institute has office space for rent at North Jackson off I-55 South at 5435 Executive Place Office Park, located in a high-traffic count area. There are 4 offices available, 1 office space, 650 square feet, 3 offices, 150 square feet each. All are available today with first month free and deposit. Ideal spot for established businesses and startups such as law and tax offices, insurance companies, boutiques, counseling centers. Again, the address is 5435 Executive Place Office Park, shown by appointments only. The number is 601-201-1957. Hello, viewers. This is Eldridge Henderson from the L. Henderson Real News Show. Part of being successful is dressing for success. This is why I want to tell you about Pennywise Cleaners, who has been serving the Southwest Jackson community for over 3 years at 4590 Raymond Road in Jackson, Mississippi. Pennywise delivers friendly service with a smile, whether drop-off, drive-through, or delivery. Pennywise has got you covered. All work is done on-site using state-of-the-art equipment to keep you sharp and clean. A penny saved is a penny earned. At Pennywise Cleaners, located at 4590 Raymond Road, Jackson, Mississippi. For more information, the number is 601-372-0097. Pennywise Cleaners is a proud sponsor of the L. Henderson's Real News Show. Welcome back, viewers, with our guest, Chris Winfield, filmmaker, specialist, educator. And now, Chris, we've been talking about career education, and now I think it'd be good for us to explore the fact that many people we know, and especially some that you have heard about, just spend too long in school studying things that's going to do nothing but waste their time and cost them a lot of money. Now, I understand that you didn't do that. You got into a career that could get you in a position where you could have a good money-making job that helped you move from where you are. And after you got that job, I understand you were making money and saving money in 30, 60 to 90 days. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, basically just kind of touch on what you were saying about the job as far as, let me see, what are you saying? Let me cut it. What you talking about? I just had a blip now. Okay, rephrase the question, what you were saying.
Okay.
Before that?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Chris, as a filmmaker, I understand that you were able to get a job after a short period of time, and in 30, 60, or 90 days, you were making a good salary, and there are some that spend 4 to 6 years in a college or university, and they make $10,000 and $15,000 a year. How did you know and were smart enough to determine that you better get in a career where you could make some immediate money?
Right, so what I basically did was research. And before I decided to go to school for whatever I was getting my degree in, I researched how many of these jobs are available within the nation. So for instance, I went to Jackson State for graphic design, got my master's in web design and new media. There are a lot of now there might not be a lot of these type of jobs in Mississippi, but there are a lot of these jobs outside of Mississippi. So my advice is to people who's going that route is to research and make sure your job is widely available around the nation.
Okay, so you did do the research. You didn't do like some do and most young people do. Well, my friend is majoring in mass communication at a senior university. So I'm going to do the same thing so we can be together. They don't know that mass communication as the standard major is going off the scene in the next 5 years. You're going to have filmmaking skills. You're going to have editing skills. You're going to have engineering skills and writing skills. And I know you have all of those. And how do you think you're going to continue to use them? And let's be a little more specific and tell us what you're going to do. Now, we did mention this in part one, that you're looking at some national film possibilities. Now, let's be a little more specific and tell me how you're going to concentrate in filmmaking or editing or production or whatever to make this happen.
And that is perfect question, because that goes exactly that is basically the purpose of my whole career, because all these things that I learned in previous schools, like for instance, graphic design degree in Jackson State. So I use graphic design to design my posters for my movies, my title intros for my movies, my DVD cases for my movies for production. So that comes with the graphic design. You have web design degree that I learned also, which I use for marketing purposes. So my films are being shown on websites that I design. I can market my websites, so all those degrees kind of fit. So before I started getting my first degree, I knew in the future I'd be using all these as one.
Okay, but that's real good, and that's what we want our viewers to understand, that you have to be well-rounded. Now, there's one thing I noticed, Chris. You not saying things like, you know what I mean, and this here chair, there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, why you don't talk like that?
Oh, man. I just had a conversation with my friend about why I don't talk like that, but I don't talk like that because I want to make myself readily available to everyone, market my films to everybody. You know, I want to present myself as such as be able to talk and get my point across with everyone of all races.
Okay, so you don't want to be one that can do the technical part and can't communicate.
Exactly.
And you know that's a good way to keep some of that money in your pocket.
Right.
If you can do it all,
Exactly.
you can be the producer, the writer, the technical specialist, and then the marketing specialist, and you can save yourself 3 or 4 different salaries and pay yourself the difference. That's what you're doing.
Exactly.
And that's what we want our viewers to understand. We all know that the choices you make is going to determine what you do in life, whether they're good or bad. And we have a presidential candidate now that's running for office. He's a Republican, and his name is Benjamin Carson Jr. Said that. He says people create their own luck by the choices they make. And that's important. So you have to understand that you first have to make the choice and then go and do something about it, and things will start working. You just can't do what your friends are doing. You have to look 5, 10, and 15 miles down the road.
Yes.
And you also got to understand, Chris, and you do, and I want my listeners and viewers to understand this, that they have to understand what controls the world. Is it religion, economics, politics? What controls the world?
I think money controls the world.
Doggone right.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And I don't care what people say. If you don't have any money, you can't influence the politicians.
Exactly.
You can't influence the preachers. You can't influence the corporate design specialists or the corporate owners, because the politicians want contribution. You got to pay the preacher. And if you are in a situation to get a good job in a company, you got to have some money to learn the skills you need. You have to learn to find a professional to give you some communication strategies, so when you go for the job, you know how to talk. And if you don't learn this on your own, you have to pay for that.
Exactly.
You have to pay someone to get a resume together for you. And I understand that you can do all of that for yourself.
Yes, yes.
Now you are believing just what the man said, Andrew Young, that politics don't control the world, that money does.
Yeah,
now,
I believe
some
that.
people say, sir, that money is good to have, but it's the root of all evil. Do you enjoy having that evil, or you want to get away from this money so you won't have to worry about the evil influences that's going to be impacting your life from now on? Because I done told you earlier, you will be making that big piece in a few years. You're going to continue to put emphasis on making money versus trying to keep yourself safe so you can go to heaven when you die? Or are you going to just continue to do what you're doing?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, if I sit up here and say I don't want to make any money, I would be lying to you. So I do want to make some money, but at the same time, I am not willing to sacrifice my morals or my moral standard for money. Meaning, like, I love to make films, but you're not about to catch me making no porno because they're paying me money, you know.
Because they'll pay you more.
Right, they'll pay me more.
In the short term.
Right.
That's right. Well, you have to understand, sir, that there is a fact of life you must remember. And we have people that say, make the right choice, make some money, plan for the future, and
There
you
you
can
go.
control your life.
There you go.
So it's all about choices. We said that
Exactly.
earlier. So you have to make a choice or decide what you're going to do, make a little money, plan for the future, and control your life. Because when you do this, Chris, there are 3 things you're going to be able to do. When you make a little money, after you make the right choice, you're in a position to take care of your family. You always have a job or a position, and it's better to have a position. It is better to have a position versus a job. When you have a position in a company or working for yourself, you don't have to punch the clock. You can make more money, work longer, and feel good about it.
Right.
But when you are punching the clock for someone else, you want to do your 8 hours or whatever and get out of there. But when you're own man and you have this job responsibility, whether you're the manager or the owner, you're going to do some things. So when you do this, Chris, you will find that making the right choice and you're making good money, you're then going to live longer, and when you die, you're probably going to die in peace because you already have the resources to eat better, to live better, live in an environment where you don't have all these toxins that's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And you will have the education and training to eat better food. And usually those kind of people live a long time and they die in their sleep, what we call from natural causes. And here you are, a young man that's headed in that direction, and I'm predicting right now that you are going to probably be here until you're about 95 to 110.
Yes, I'm praying.
And here it goes again. I'm predicting things. Chris, I have a problem with a lot of people that I've been talking to recently in their age brackets of 30 to 60. They don't have their future planned. They didn't make the right choice. So what would you recommend for one that is in a position, getting old, around 60, how are they going to have to secure their future?
Well, I think it's about reinventing yourself, working hard early. So when you're in your 20s and 30s, trying to, get that education or that trade, you say it doesn't have to be a 4-year degree, or work on your speech skills, your image, you know what I'm saying? Like not getting a lot of tattoos, trying to look, presentable when you get in front of an interview, and trying to just work hard and always try to be the best and always try to be creative and do different things, but things that can generate income.
Okay, so they have to be what I call multi-talented, right? You have to have a career, have some skills, have specific abilities
Right.
to highlight what you want to present to others.
Exactly.
And if that happens when you get around 60, if you reinvent yourself and focus specifically on those areas, you're saying that when you get to retirement or close to the end, you'll be in good shape.
Right.
So that's what our viewers are going to have to do then. And many are already doing it, but there are some that are confused. They are at the point of retirement, have not saved not one penny. They don't have an investment. They don't own anything. They still paying a car note and a mortgage, and they have 10 or 15 years on both, and they don't see anything happening good for themselves other than an old folks home, a hospital, and hospice care.
Right.
And you're saying if they do what you're recommending,
Exactly.
it's not going to happen.
Right, it's not going to happen. And it doesn't mean that they have to have all these things intact, but focus on the main things, focus on, how you carry yourself, how you speak, your education, getting up and going out there and work and doing stuff.
So the end result is make some money, save some money,
Yes.
invest some money,
Yes.
and live a good life.
Yes.
So that's what all is about in
Yeah.
life. It's all about
Right.
making and saving, investing,
Exactly.
preparing for the future. Chris, I want to thank you for being with us also.
glad to
So
be
tell
here.
us how we can contact you later on.
Okay, you can contact me at 601-316-0984, and my website is drawnupfilms.com. And I also have another website portfolio, which is cwinfield.com. You can contact me with my number or through my website.
Well, sir, I want to thank you, and I'm
Thank
going to
you.
have some of my folks to contact you.
Yes,
And
thank you.
I might want to be in one of those films. you're
Yes,
gonna
I
make.
got you. Yes.
And at that time, I'm going to be preaching a good sermon,
Yes.
telling the people how to be saved and live in the kingdom on earth.
Yeah.
Thank you, viewers. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much.